On this side, I have a production 2023 Chevy Colorado ZR2, the brand new generation of the ZR2 truck. And on this side, I have a racing version of the same truck. In this video, I want to show you all the way around this kind of a base model ZR2 because there's also a more fancy version of it, and also show you some of the technology and how Chevrolet actually tests some of the powertrain and suspension and tires in the race truck and how it transfers into the production version. So let's kind of take a profile view of the new ZR2. And the ZR2, the new one, comes in two flavors, really. First is this one, and it starts at around 47 to 48,000 bucks. And this one you see here is around 49,000, so under 50 grand. And there's also the Desert Boss that has some additional bumper in the front with a push bar, and it has a sports bar, but I'm not going to be talking about that too much. But this truck, it has a new chassis for 2023. They stretched the wheelbase about 3 inches. They pushed the front axle line about 3 inches forward, giving the truck a better approach angle, and put it on 33s with these Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tires, and of course DSSV Multimatic spool valve shocks. But here I want to show you the truck that Chevrolet says is about 90 to maybe 95% the same as a production truck, but this is on the race spec. And this truck Chevrolet has been fielding in the Best in the Desert series for a number of races. And of course, they also fielded it in the previous generation of the ZR2, and also now in the Silverado 1500 ZR2 in the racing series as well. This is the new one. It's basically the same chassis, the same reinforced frame, but there's a few very, very key differences. For example, the one that's most visible right here is the wheel and tire package. This is a 35, so the racing truck is sitting on 35s, and it also has unique spring tuning and a little bit more unique shock tuning. Why? Well, because this truck weighs approximately 1,500 pounds more than the production truck, so it's quite a bit heavier. Why is it heavier? Well, let me show you inside very briefly. It's heavier because it has a full roll cage. It has racing style seats. It has a lot of communication equipment, and you can see this roll cage is very, very extensive. And this is kind of an early prototype. So because they've been actually racing this truck for several races already, and the new ZR2 is just beginning production and will be reaching dealerships very soon. So this is one of the reasons why it's heavier. The other reason why is back here. So of course it has a fire suppression system, this extinguisher that can be kind of taken out of this holder and used in case of emergency. And it also has 2 spare tires and a really, race prepared fuel cell. This fuel cell right here in the middle of the bed is about twice the size or the capacity of a standard fuel tank, which is about 21 gallons in the production truck. And it's also done for quick refueling and also safety. So those are some of the reasons why this truck is heavier, because it has additional framing for this fuel tank. And now they also added a couple more attachment points. You can see right here, they're tying into the roll cage into the frame, because what they're learning during racing, they want to transfer to the production truck. And here's the thing they did learn. Recently in the Mint 400, this exact truck was competing, and about 20 miles before the finish line, it had a frame bend. And it's a lot of the reason why is because this is about 600 pounds of stuff here near the end of the truck, and there's a very stiff roll cage in the front of it. And you can see here, there was a bit of damage as the bed kind of came up and hit the cab of the truck. So obviously they fixed it and they reinforced the rear section I just showed you. And this is basically what it is. They're learning from racing and also improving the race truck, and at the same time improving the production truck as well. By the way, take a look at these shocks. They have an additional fin for cooling here surrounding the shock body. And so if there's enough demand, you can actually, they might offer it as an accessory on the production truck. Let me show you the production shock right here. So you can kind of see the body is very, very similar, except this production truck doesn't have the fins for cooling. The powertrains are the same. So under the hood, let me pop the hood on this, and then I'll show you inside and some of the tech that this truck offers. The ZR2 offers the high output version of their 2.7 straight 4, 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, and it's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So the powertrains are the same in the race truck versus the production one as well. And like I said, the production truck is riding on 33s. The race truck, of course, is riding on 35s. And they had to trim a little bit of the inside the fender wells in order to fit the 35s on the production truck. Both of them have rock sliders. Both of them have lots of skid plates. So they're very, very similar in many ways. So right now, how about you jump inside the truck and let's look at some of the cameras and technology there. All right, welcome. So the truck welcomes you with an animation. That's pretty sweet. I'm gonna power it up. There. So now every 2023 Chevy Colorado comes with this central screen and also a digital gauge cluster. On the ZR2 though, the gauges, the screen here is a little bit wider than on some of the other base trucks. And don't look at the MPGs here. We've been in the desert, so it's not representative of your daily driving, but it's representative. It could be representative of some of your off-road driving. I can talk about that later in another video. I want to show you some of the tech. So there's a lot of good stuff here, and also a couple of bad things I want to show you. So first of all, I really like that the climate control system has physical buttons. I can decrease the fan speed, I can increase it. I also have heated and ventilated seats. That's very, very fancy and kind of a luxurious feature. This feature, some of the tech, of course, increases the price. It has dual lockers, so it has rear locker and also rear and front. Those are the buttons here. It has lane keep assist, one auxiliary switch, so you can tie into the system, be it maybe a winch if you are equipping it, with the Desert Bus package or a specific winch bumper, or maybe additional lights, and of course 4 windows down in one. Now this system came to the production trucks with the 2022's Silverados. Now let me kind of show you some of the options here. So you can control a lot of the different, for example, fog lamps, park assist, auto high beams, your camera system here. And of course, GM is king of cameras. This is a good thing. So I can select through different views, look on the side of the truck, and that's really important for off-roading. It's a little bit higher resolution towards the front, but towards the back, since the camera has to zoom in, the resolution goes down a little bit. And this truck also has underbody cameras, so you can see underneath some of the obstacles as you're moving over them. And here I'm turning my tires. I hope you can see that. It's a little bit dirty. Let's see if I can wash it. Ha ha! Yes! There's a wash button over here. So now you can see that a little bit better. I can turn my front tires and you can kind of see what type of obstacles you're running over. And you could see that at the same time as well using these cameras. That's pretty neat. So that's good stuff. Some of the not so great stuff is that, well, trailering, we'll talk about that in a second. Some of the vehicle info, so you have to go to the home page, then you have to go to the vehicle info, and then you can have some additional information here. You can monitor your tire pressures, but it's just several menus down. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of kind of digging down into multiple menus in order to try to control some of the features. Also, let's see, trip. This is where you reset your trip as well. I'm not a fan of that. What's wrong with an additional button to just kind of control it maybe in the central screen? Also, headlamps. There's the shortcut up here, and you can turn on your running lights or your headlights using the little shortcut here. Once again, there's not a hard switch for the headlamps, which is also kind of a bummer. But everything else is pretty awesome. I want to show you, this has automatic 4-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low, and also driving modes. And the ZR2 comes with a specific unique mode they call Baja. So Baja you can use in various settings. So you can use it with 2-wheel drive, and it disables some of the traction control and stability control systems, and also remaps your transmission mapping and throttle mapping. So it becomes a little bit more punchy. And of course, you're using all of your horsepower, 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. So the Baja mode is pretty sweet, and it's unique to the ZR2. There is also, of course, normal, off-road, tow haul mode. So because of the front grille area and the front skid plates, the tow rating is limited to 6,000 pounds on the ZR2 truck. That's about 1,000 pounds more than the previous generation, but it's also less than regular Colorado trucks, which are rated with a towing package at 7,700 pounds. And I'm not talking about the base work truck version of the Colorado. I'm talking about majority of those Colorado trucks. Up here in the center, lots of gauges. I'm kind of really happy the way they did the gauges. Let me show you a little bit closer. So different modes you can go through. You can look at a lot of different information all at once, including your map. And lots of information, including, of course, your fuel, your temperatures, your transmission temp, which in a truck is really, really important. Because you can monitor not just, of course, your coolant, your oil pressure, but also your transmission temperature at any time. So that's pretty sweet. So also, this one has a sunroof, and all ZR2s get special interiors with this stitching. It's kind of yellowish stitching. You can also get different color seat belts. You can get a yellow seat belt. This one doesn't have it. But if you want to control your price, of course, I would say skip some of those fancy features. Just get kind of the basic goodness of this truck. All right, let's step outside so we can wrap up this video. So all 2023 Chevy Colorados come in this configuration: 4-door crew cab with a shorter 5-foot 2-inch bed. Payloads range between about 1,700 pounds for a 2-wheel drive truck in the work truck configuration, all the way to here. Let me show you the payload on this one. Of course, after you add all the equipment, payloads come down. It's 1,153 pounds. So this is not a huge amount of payload, but if you had a Desert Boss, that payload would be even about 100 pounds less. So of course you're adding features, but you're decreasing your payload, and of course increasing the price of the truck. So like I said, this configuration of the ZR2 is around 50,000 bucks or just under that. And if you kind of didn't do any of the options, it could be around $47,000 or $48,000 for the ZR2. And by the way, if you're buying like a Trail Boss, I ordered a Colorado Trail Boss for myself, the new one. If you want to upgrade it to the ZR2 level, it's basically impossible to do. Yes, you can tune the engine up to the maximum torque rating if you're buying the mid engine option or the mid power rating on your engine, but the rear section, let me show you, the rear section of the frame is different because the shocks are outboard. Like I was showing you, that's what they learned in racing. And a lot of you guys also wrote to General Motors and said the shocks are sometimes in the way, so they moved them outboard. And if you look behind here, you can kind of see how the axle is all, it's kind of all without obstructions. So of course there is a differential hanging down, but other than that, the shock mounts are not in the way. So they've been listening to you guys. They've been racing this truck, various versions of it. They've been learning from that, and it's really cool to see that they're transferring some of the stuff they've learned from the race truck and they're putting it into production. Well, hopefully this gives you a really, really great view at the new ZR2. Stay tuned. We're actually here with the Chevrolet First Drive event, and we're going from Las Vegas, Nevada to Reno, Nevada off-road over several days. So stay tuned to alltfl.com. Much more to come and much more news in this space just within a few days. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.